Welcome once again. I'm KT Samuel, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Many of you have seen me in Charles Entry's video. Today, I want to quickly touch on the precise kind of housing for snail farming. I know that many of you are aware of the various type of snail housings that we have. We have the trench system, we have the gallery system, we have the paddock system, and we have the greenhouse. I've seen that currently the main trend on social media now is the greenhouse system that I hear everybody talk about. If I find pictures of the various types of housing, I will add it to the video. But if I am not able to attach it, kindly Google it and then you'll find it. So the gallery system is the pen system where you have like a trapdoor on top of a brick and mortar, and then you're able to access the snails by bending. We have the greenhouse where people also grow contemporary and other vegetation in an open area. And then we have the open system where people just cover the size of an open space, and then they put the snails in it. For clarity's sake, there are so many types of snail housing systems, like even the box system, like I already mentioned, the gallery system, the trench system, which is almost like the gallery system. We have the greenhouse system, and then people run also the open space. And they all have their limitations, but the best amongst all of them is the gallery or trench system. So today I want to address the fact that the best way of housing snails is the gallery system, or what other people call the pen system. So many people have reached out to me after my video with Charles Entry, and everybody is kind of interested in the greenhouse farming, right? So I want to touch on the reason why I am against the greenhouse farming. So you know that snails are naturally found in the forest and they go through a lot of risk. And the reason why we are trying to farm them is because of these risks they go through, it creates seasons. And so there are seasons where we do not even have snails in the system. I mean, hence increasing the price of snails. So if you're trying to farm snails, you need to make sure that you mitigate all those risks that they face in the forest. So now I'm going to list the reasons why it is not prudent to have a greenhouse snail fat. You realize that even those of us who do the gallery system, you realize that you always have insects in your pen. And they are something you have to fight day in, day out. And it's easy for you to find it because you have that one-on-one relationship with your snails. You usually bend into the pens, and then you can easily find the pests or insects in the farm. Now, can you imagine a greenhouse system where, as the farmer, you're not allowed to walk into certain corners of the farm? How are you able to tell whether the insects are actually infesting your pen or your farm? Sorry. You see, so it's a big challenge if you have a greenhouse farm. We are supposed to feed the snails, and then because it's a greenhouse system, you're not allowed to walk to certain corners of the farm. So I mean, as you are feeding them, it will always invite ants, it will always invite other insects who are going to be a competition to your snails. So in a greenhouse farm where the beneath has not been it's not a concrete system, it's just fresh sand. How do you check whether there's an infestation of ants or other insects? And I leave this question to you because I've been to a number of greenhouse farms that I realized that they have always soaked neem tree to sprinkle in the farm. It means they are facing issues with insects. So why don't you rather have the gallery system where you can tell what kind of insect it is, you can see the insects as soon as possible so that they cannot cause a lot of havoc before you even realize it. But in the greenhouse, you do not have that privilege because you cannot go into every corner of the farm. You see, so you would be farming, you would think that they are multiplying because you're not even allowed to certain corners of the farm. If you try to go to certain corners of the farm, you're likely to step on the snails themselves and kill them. You're likely to step on eggs and kill them. So what is the point? Why don't you have a gallery system where everything you do is controlled and managed? Also, another thing is that snails go through injury. Sometimes they climb and fall. Some of them feast on each other, and these are the things that you would realize if you have the gallery system. So if you have the gallery system, you can tell that your snails actually have a calcium deficiency, and they are maybe feasting on each other's shells. You know, but if you have the open system or the greenhouse system, you do not have that relationship with your snails, so you wouldn't know whether they are even calcium deficient. You see, in the gallery system, where we harvest eggs and then put them in a safer place. The reason why we harvest them is that, and this is something that I'll tell you for free on this channel. The reason why we harvest them is because, one, the snails themselves can be harmful to the eggs. They can damage them. Two, sometimes the snails bore a deep hole and then put the eggs over there, and because the soil is very moist, sometimes the eggs will hatch, but the snails, the hatchlings, are not strong enough to climb on top of the soil, so they end up dying under the soil. And if you go to the gallery system, you see that a lot of farmers who are not fast to reaction, they have these issues. You find eggs that have hatched, but they were not able to come on top of the soil to survive. So you can imagine when you have a greenhouse system where the eggs are laid, there's nobody to notice them, pick them, and take them to a much looser soil, where when the hatchlings hatch, they can easily climb on top of the soil. So you're likely to be losing a lot of eggs or a lot of snails from these things that are not properly managed. So again, why don't you have the gallery system where you can manage and see when the eggs are laid, transport them to a safer place, and then see how they even hatch. You can even check the number of eggs that hatch. You can also be able to count the number of eggs and even check how your farm is growing. So you're able to determine the growth of your farm, the mortality rate, and all of that. The fifth thing is that there's always a mortality in a snail farm. So in a greenhouse system where you're not allowed to go into the corners of the farm, when a snail dies, how do you go to that corner to pick up that dead snail? How do you even find it? And when they die over a few days, you realize that it brings a lot of ants and worms. So how do you mitigate all these things? So for me, I would advise you to rather have the gallery system, and that is the best way to have a successful snail farm. So that is what I can advise you on. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with a greenhouse farm, and it's become a new trend because people have found a business in it, and people just like the beauty of it. But you should know that this is a business you're doing and not just a pet, or not something you're just doing for the beauty of it or it's fun. It's a business, so you do something that you can manage its risk and then also help you with the yield channel if you enjoy this. And then I'll be always leaving tidbits for successful snail farming and management so that you don't lose a lot of snails. Thank you.